So, what really separates a good leader from a truly great one? We often think of leadership as this fixed thing, like you're either born with it or you're not. But what if I told you the best leadership isn't a personality type at all? What if it's actually a skill, a flexible, adaptive art form? Let's get into it.
And to really get to the heart of this, let's start with a really high stakes question. When everything is on the line, when every single second counts, what does true leadership actually look like? It's not just about being the boss, it's about making the exact right call at the exact right moment.
And honestly, there is no better example of this than the incredible story of U.S. Airways Flight 1549. You probably remember it as the Miracle on the Hudson, a situation where leadership was put to the ultimate test under the most extreme pressure you can possibly imagine. What is just mind-blowing here is how fast this all went down. I mean, we are talking about a total of 6 minutes from takeoff to landing. At 3:27 p.m., a bird strike takes out both engines. Captain Sully Sullenberger then had about 60 seconds to process an impossible situation and make a call that went against all protocol, landing on the Hudson River. There was no time for a committee meeting. This was about pure, decisive, directive leadership. Now, Sully's actions were absolutely perfect for that crisis. But would that same command and control style work if he were mentoring a brand new pilot or brainstorming a new company vision? No way. And that really gets to the core idea we're exploring today. The one-size-fits-all model of leadership is basically a recipe for failure. So here it is, this one sentence from the guys who created the situational leadership model completely flips the script on how we think about leadership. The best leaders don't just have one style they stick to. They have an entire toolbox, and they know just when to use each tool. All right, so let's put a formal definition on this thing. It was developed by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard, and situational leadership is all about being flexible. It's a leader's ability to first diagnose a situation, looking at their team's skills, their confidence, the urgency of the task, and then choosing the right approach. Should you be directive, like Sully, or a coach, a supporter, or should you just delegate? The answer is always, it depends. So, if you're going to be a situational leader, what do you actually need in your toolkit? What are the core skills that allow someone to be so effective and adaptive on the fly? Well, it all kicks off with flexibility, but that's pretty useless without diagnosis. That's the critical skill of reading the room and figuring out where your team is at. From there, it's all about execution, right? You need clear communication and the decision-making agility to know exactly when to jump in and when to just step back. You can think of every leadership decision as balancing on the spectrum. On one side, you have a task focus. That's the what, getting the job done. On the other, you have a people focus. That's the who, building trust, offering support. A great situational leader isn't stuck on one side. They're constantly dancing between them, giving the team exactly what it needs in that specific moment to win. Okay, so if those are the skills you need to build, these are the personal traits that really make it all click. Adaptability is the engine, sure, but it's fueled by things like empathy, the ability to really get what your team members are feeling and needing. It's powered by emotional intelligence and that strategic thinking to see the whole board. You can see how all these things work together to create a leader who is truly responsive. All right, let's look at how this theory plays out in the real world, because this isn't just for pilots in a crisis. This stuff applies to every season of leadership, from huge corporate turnarounds to world-changing social movements. Let's start with Satya Nadella at Microsoft. Back in 2014, he inherited a tech giant that was, well, stuck. The culture was famously competitive and siloed, and it was just strangling the creativity they needed to compete. A top-down, directive approach was not going to fix this deep-seated problem. So, what did he do? He adapted. Nadella completely shifted his style. He started talking about empathy and collaboration. He introduced this idea of a growth mindset, where it was better to be learning than to always be right. By empowering his teams and moving to a supportive style, he didn't just change the vibe, he unlocked a whole new era of innovation for Microsoft. Now let's switch gears to a totally different kind of crisis, one that was deeply human, deeply emotional. After the horrific 2008 Mumbai attacks, the famous Taj Hotel was in ruins, and the staff was, understandably, traumatized. The number one priority here wasn't rebuilding the hotel, it was rebuilding the people. Ratan Tata, the head of the parent company, got this instinctively. He immediately shifted into a people-first, empathetic style. He was out there personally visiting the families of victims, focusing 100% on supporting his employees. The business could wait. He knew in that moment his most important job was to be a healer, not just a CEO. Situational leadership can also play out on this massive historical scale. Just think about Mahatma Gandhi and his role in India's freedom struggle. This wasn't a single event. It was a decades-long movement with a political landscape that was constantly changing. Gandhi was an absolute master of adaptation. At certain times, he was a very directive leader, initiating bold acts of civil disobedience like the Salt March. At other times, he was a skilled negotiator, sitting down for complex political talks with the British. He was constantly diagnosing the readiness of the people in the political climate and picking the perfect tool for that specific season of the struggle. So, what does all this mean for you? How do you take these huge examples and actually apply them in your own life, whether you're leading a project at work, your family, or even just yourself? Let's build a really simple, personal playbook. Okay, think of this chart as your cheat sheet. When you're in a crisis, like Sully, it's time to be directive and decisive. No ambiguity. But when your team is learning and growing, they need you to be a supportive coach. And what about when you're working with a team of total pros, seasoned experts? The best thing you can do is delegate, empower them, and get out of their way.
And look, if you don't remember anything else from this, remember this. It all boils down to a super simple 3-step loop. Number 1, read the situation. Is it urgent? Is it complex? Number 2, understand your people. Are they experts? Are they new, motivated, nervous? And number 3, based on all that data, adjust your style. That's it. That's the heart of situational leadership. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Just take a look at your day, your week, your current challenges. What situation are you in right now? And maybe, more importantly, is your leadership style the right one for this very moment?